Yeah, we're talking about concealed carry today. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about why I conceal carry. I could start by repeating everything you've all ever heard from every other YouTuber that discusses guns or reviews guns or talks about gun rights. We're not doing that today. With everything that's been happening in the United States over the last few weeks and month, it's been really weighing on me, and I need to get this off my chest. And we're gonna take a different angle here, but we're gonna start with a very basic quote. Love thy neighbor. Don't worry, we're not gonna get all touchy-feely, lovey-dovey here, but we are gonna have to discuss that big L word that so many of us are uncomfortable talking about. Sorry. We're talking about the love, the respect we are to be showing our fellow man every day, every waking moment, every time we step foot out of our house, every time we engage in conversation. We should be showing everyone love and respect. Part of that love, part of that respect, part of acknowledging the dignity of your fellow man is being willing to protect them. If you are willing to put yourself in harm's way to defend some other individual's life, that is the epitome of love. And that's where we get to why I carry concealed everywhere I legally can. I currently have a Glock 45 as my everyday carry. Don't worry, we'll do a review of this down the road a bit, but for now I just wanted to say that I carry a Glock 45 and I couldn't be happier with it. Concealed carrying a handgun is a very effective means of protecting those around you, not just yourself. So many people get wrapped up in the idea that carrying a gun is just a means of exercising your Second Amendment rights. Carrying a gun is about protecting yourself, protecting your family, protecting your friends, protecting any person around you. You shouldn't carry a handgun. You shouldn't own guns just so you feel macho. You shouldn't be owning them so that you're compensating. And that is a fallacy that a lot of individuals engage in. A gun is a tool to defend. Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that I carry a gun because at the end of the day, if I am in the unfortunate situation where I am near an active shooter, I am taking on the responsibility of getting out of there on my own power and helping any other individual get out of that situation on their own 2 feet, rather than in a body bag. You're not shooting because you hate the person in front of you. It's because you love the people you're defending. That is the crux of why people carry a gun. Now I have to sidestep here briefly, and I want to say, anyone that sees this video that is a first responder or law enforcement or in our armed services, I love and support you. The Phantom Llama's Den, Darren, Steve, myself, we support all of you. We support our troops. We love our law enforcement. We love our first responders. You see hell every single day. Thank you. Truly, thank you for your service, your sacrifice every day, and we hope that you remain safe in these crazy times. That said, one of the biggest takeaways that we have seen is that law enforcement cannot protect everybody. The average police response time to an active shooter event in the United States is 3 minutes. That is an eternity. The only way that law enforcement can effectively save every single life in an active shooter event is if they are in the right place at the right time. Now, we aren't going to discuss what happened in Uvalde, especially since the investigation is ongoing. And that really is an exception to response times. But in general, 3 minutes is an eternity when there is a hostile force with a firearm. A lot of people can die in 3 minutes. Regardless of magazine capacity, reload times don't take very long, or caliber of weapon. A lot of people can die. And if we're all just relying on law enforcement to get there quickly, we will always see people die. We cannot put a police officer on every single corner. And even if we do, shootings will still occur. We as human beings cannot be expected to accept that we are helpless and powerless to defend ourselves in these kinds of situations. We cannot be expected to wait patiently for 3 minutes on average for law enforcement to arrive and hopefully neutralize the threat before any life is lost. An active shooter is not identified until the first shot has been fired. That's already one potential life that's been lost by the time an active shooter event has been declared. As a politician once very aptly stated, I am convinced that a criminal who wants a firearm can get one through illegal, non-traceable, unregistered sources, with or without gun control. What we need to be able to do, and what we have the ability to do, because our rights are protected by the Second Amendment, is arm ourselves. In America, the Second Amendment, among several other things, and again, we're not going to get into all that the Second Amendment implies or codifies. We are focusing strictly on defense and specifically concealed carry and why I conceal carry. The Second Amendment protects our God-given right to protect ourselves, specifically using firearms. It is absolute. The words "shall not be infringed" are absolute. Don't get me wrong, the Founding Fathers clearly intended the Second Amendment to be used to protect our rights for much higher reasons. We're not going to get into that. We are focusing on our right to defend ourselves and to carry, and why I conceal carry. We as law-abiding citizens need to be willing to take on the responsibility of defending ourselves and defending our neighbors. We have to be responsible for our own protection. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is to have a good guy with a gun. Personally, I think there are a lot more good people in the world than there are bad people. I think the world would be a much safer place if every good guy had a gun and was carrying a gun. We're not even going to get into signs that say no guns allowed. The only people that obey gun-free signs are people like me, people that are law-abiding, have respect for the law. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Owning any gun, handgun, rifle, shotgun, cannon. You could buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was written. Owning any gun outside of hunting and providing food, which is not why the Second Amendment was written, is about protection. Protecting yourself, protecting your home, protecting your friends, your family, your neighbors. The motivation, the goal, the reason for owning a gun, for carrying a gun in public, is to protect and to save a life from a real, present, and immediate danger. It is not about killing somebody, it's about saving a life. Love thy neighbor. All that out of the way, I want to shift gears very briefly. The title says, "Why I Conceal Carry." The state in which I reside is an open or conceal carry state. That means I can carry on my hip, or I can carry concealed. I almost exclusively carry concealed. I really only ever carry outside of my waistband when I'm going to the range and I'm wearing my belt that will hold a couple of little magazines for my Glock. And that's just more of a comfort, that's more of a convenience thing for me. I know there's a lot of competing philosophies on why you should carry concealed or why you would open carry. And I'm just gonna give my philosophy as to why I carry concealed. First off, no one needs to know that I have a gun on me. I mean, that's the plain and simple of it. I argue that carrying concealed isn't in itself a small act of love. There's a lot of tension in the United States and the world right now surrounding guns. A lot of misunderstanding, a lot of people don't understand the gun laws that are already in effect. That's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people are made uneasy when they see a gun. That should not deter somebody that carries a gun from carrying. If you're carrying concealed, you still have the ability to protect yourself and those around you. All the while, if you don't see something, it's not in your mind. You aren't thinking of it. Out of sight, out of mind. So if I'm walking down the street and there are people around me that don't like guns, they are still going to benefit from that. But they also don't have to be uneasy over the fact that, oh, there's a lot of people here that have guns. It's a small thing, but I think that it helps ease tensions a lot in this day and age. I know a lot of people that don't like guns. I know a lot of people that misunderstand them and think guns are scary. I'm not gonna start into that argument. That's really everything in a nutshell. I conceal carry out of love. I don't want anyone around me to ever be a victim of gun violence. I personally feel that the best way to not be a victim of gun violence is to arm yourself, equip yourself, and be trained to use a firearm in a very effective manner so that you do not become the victim. That kind of brings me nicely into my final thoughts and notes on the topic. If you're still watching, thank you. You should probably go ahead and like this video and hit the subscribe button, because if you like this video, you're gonna really like some of the other firearm stuff we've done, and we've got a lot more coming. But I just wanna go over a couple real brief points here. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. The Second Amendment doesn't just apply to handguns. It applies to all firearms, except for high points. Don't get a high point, please. This is something that I really want to drive home. Your ability to protect effectively and defend yourself effectively, it all depends on your training. And this is something that I myself am taking more and more seriously as time goes on. It doesn't matter how nice, how expensive, how accurate of a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun, cannon you have. It doesn't matter how much tactical gear, what kind of body armor you have, what kind of magazines, what kind of flashlights, all of that stuff is extra. What matters is if you are trained, if you know how to use your gun, if you are comfortable with your gun. Firearms are not a simple matter of just being able to point and pull the trigger. You have to know your guns. You have to know your weapons. You have to be trained. If you don't train, if you aren't familiar with your gun, you are going to be a liability. You are not going to be safe in a situation where you might have to pull the trigger. Do not be a liability. Be an asset. Be a person of value in a hostile situation. Be the person that others will be able to rely on. Do not be a liability. Okay. I know that this video was a bit more serious, a bit more emphatic than a lot of our other videos. I tried really hard to stay away from the politics of gun ownership, because gun ownership is not political. It has been made political, but it should not be political. Please be an asset to the world. Love thy neighbor. As always, make it a great day. Don't take life too seriously. Love one another. And we'll see you in the next video.